Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. In Season 2 of Hacks and Hobbies, we're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life. Want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around.
In this episode, we get to chat with author Win C. Win Charles is an athlete, author, and artist, and I got to chat with her on her podcast, and we had a lot of fun talking about all sorts of amazing things, anywhere from beekeeping to encouragement and motivation. So, Win, tell us a little bit about yourself and how, and what's exciting for you.
Well, there's one thing you majorly forgot. I have a physical disability on top of it all.
Oh, yes.
I have a physical disability on top of me being an athlete, me being awesome, me being an artist, and that physical disability is cerebral palsy. But you forgot it in a good way. You forgot it in a good way.
Yes.
And one of my favorite hobbies is rock climbing in summer and then
Nice.
snowboarding in the winter.
Wow. I absolutely love snowboarding, and I think I took a couple of classes of rock climbing. But
Yeah.
I mean, and you live out there in Aspen, so you got the best mountain access for snowboarding.
Do I ever? But I do, and I'm extremely lucky to have that mountain access. But on a nice cold day, I do go out. I'm not a fan with a snowboarder. I like the cold days. I like the warm days. I like the soft snow. I like the more powder snow. But other than that, except when you can see glass at the bottom of the ski hill, yeah, that's not good. But
no, that's not good.
I like to snowboard and rock climb in the summer.
Nice. How's rock climbing? Because I know a friend of mine, because I also lived in Colorado for a while, near Denver. And I know one of my friends, one of my colleagues at the time, used to go rock climbing all the time. He had all sets of gears, and he's really good at it.
Well, you can. One of the stigmas that I would like about rock climbing is that people watch YouTube videos and then they think, "Oh, I can do this myself." It's the same with snowboarding. They watch videos on YouTube and then they seem to think I can do this myself. And what the rock climbing professionals say, and the professionals in the snowboarding will say, is get a lesson first and then have a guide take you out. So I have the luxury of having people more experience than I am take me out snowboarding, take me out rock climbing. And so that's what they say, don't automatically do it yourself. And that's the huge stigma in the rock climbing community. You need guides to help you.
Oh, absolutely. You can't just go out on your own and start rock climbing. You need support. You need support. Absolutely.
No, exactly. No. So that's a huge stigma in the rock climbing community, and
So how did you get into rock climbing and snowboarding? I mean, what inspired you? Was it those YouTube videos that you mentioned, or?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I got into snowboarding at the age of 16 when snowboarding was brand new. I got in. I thought, well, let me try it, and I fell in love with it. And I used to ski. I skied up until the age of 16, and then I fell in love with snowboarding.
Yeah. So you've been in that, what do you call that, culture, and living in that. I mean, living up in Aspen, you're gonna know about snowboarding. You're gonna know about skiing and all the snow sports or the winter
Yes,
sports for sure.
yes.
Nice.
Once you embrace the culture, you will figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about your author. It says that you're an author of multiple books. So tell me how, what inspired you, and how you got into it, and what it took to actually write a book.
Well, I I did my first book when I had a tragic loss in my life, which I completely mentioned. It's public and almost a little too public. I lost my biological mom to meningitis slash a slow leaking brain aneurysm. We still to this day can't figure out how she got a slow leaking brain aneurysm. We know how she got meningitis, but I decided to write a book while she was. I came up with the idea of writing my first book while she was in the hospital. And so she was in a medically induced coma, dying from but from meningitis. And so I asked her, I said, "Can I write this book?" And she goes, "Yes, as long as you do it gracefully." And so that's what inspired me to write this book. I gave myself a year. I finished it within a year, um and then started the podcast because started the podcast a couple of years after that. Asked when, because people started asking, how do you handle cerebral palsy so gracefully? And so I needed to tell them that I needed to trust the door on that one. So I interview people like you and just infuse my story with my interview's story.
No, that's really amazing. And when did you start the podcast?
I started the podcast 4 years ago, and
Okay.
it's been in iTunes, hit in iTunes 3 times, and the most
Nice.
recent one was under Ask When. The most recent iTunes pick to be featured was under Ask When.
Very cool.
But the sad thing
Um,
is
mhm.
about that is when I checked my stats yesterday, because it only became apparent on Tuesday night, I only got 625 downloads. So it's not like, and that happens to everyone. It's not like
Yeah.
you're going to get thousands and thousands of downloads through iTunes feature.
No, that takes some time, right, to get to that point.
Well, yes, yes and no.
Okay.
They they pick people because of their content. So I got picked because of my content. They there's actually humans on the other end that pick it. It's not a robotic thing. And so
You got it.
yes and no. Depending on your content, you can be featured in iTunes.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, Apple does have a lot of people in those areas where they will choose what goes up there, and it's probably for the better. That way, people can't game the system, right?
Um, it it is, but I get messages all the time saying, "Please
Mm-hmm.
buy my work on Fiverr." And those of us in the podcasting community, we all get these messages saying, "Well, these bots out in India," and I'm calling bots out on this podcast, Hacks and Hobbies, because they will come and call me on LinkedIn, and they will say, "Oh, I can get your top rated I podcast or your top rated podcast," and then Apple Podcasts figures that out, and they kick you out of iTunes. They literally do. If there's a bot in India doing it for you, they will literally kick you out of iTunes. So the bots, please stop. Please stop with all of us in the podcasting community, including Hacks and
Yeah.
Hobbies. I don't know if you've gotten those emails, but don't respond to those emails.
Got it. Yeah, these emails are basically telling you, hey, we can get you up top on iTunes, right? With
Yeah.
those reviews and whatnot. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen
no.
those. And I was like, you know what? I don't need that. I'm gonna keep it super authentic. I'm not in a rush to get this to the top of the list because that's just gaming the system, and that's just bad ethics.
Yeah, but these bots don't give a flying rat's ass. These bots do not give a flying rat's ass. These people coming out of India don't give a flying rat's ass what gaming the system is on iTunes.
Yeah, I think I've gotten a few emails about that.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we can
Yeah.
promote you. Actually, it was on LinkedIn. I got
Yeah,
added by these
exactly.
people, and they're like, oh,
Exactly.
we're
These bots
podcast
are coming
promoters and blah,
on
blah, blah.
LinkedIn.
Pay us money. Yeah. And they're like, pay us money and we'll do this. I'm like, what are you offering me? It's like, I'll do a really good job, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
No,
Like, what are you going to do? Like, they don't even talk about what they're going to do.
they
They're like,
don't.
oh, we can do this. I'm like, what's your strategy? What's your social media strategy? Like, they have no idea what this stuff is, about, and they're just going for your money.
Yeah, no. So everyone that gets those messages on LinkedIn, don't touch
Mhm.
them.
Everybody in the audience, listen up. Do not pay attention to those emails and messages coming to you telling you that they could promote your podcast, that they can get you to the top of the iTunes. That is just bad juju, bad
Yeah.
karma. Get you back.
Yeah.
And actually, you know what's funny is I read an article somewhere, and there's like black hat and gray hat tricks that you can do, and I'm like, just stay away from that. You don't need to load up your podcast description and titles with keywords and whatnot, because that's just bad. You're not being authentic. You're not telling the true story.
Well, now that's another thing. Apple will kick you out if you keyword stuff your iTunes title, and so we all in the podcasting community had to do some adjusting, and I had to do some adjusting. Some of top level podcasters had to do some adjusting. Then I just found out that Kindle Direct Publishing was just merged with Create Space. They did that one in August, and they're forcing people to move over to their platform, Kindle Direct Publishing, to publish their paperback book. And I just found out that Kindle Direct Publishing will kick you off platform for the same thing, keyword stuffing in a book.
Yeah. Yep. Makes sense. Because they want to be, they want to get the good stuff out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Which Amazon will let you publish anything and everything and anything and everything. So basically, Amazon won't look at what you're publishing. They will just take your Word doc and make it into what they want. And so when I first published, I got an editor. Everyone thought I was nuts. But that book made it to #1. It still sells to this day. I Win is the book I'm talking about. and everyone thought I was nuts getting an editor.
No, it's really good to have an editor because they'll make sure everything, like grammatically, right? They they do the job. They do the right job because they have expertise on the English language, right?
Yeah, exactly. They have expertise on the English language.
Well, that's really awesome to learn because I had no idea. I had no idea about Kindle Direct Publishing. In fact, I recently learned about Prime Direct, which is your ability to publish your TV shows, your movies, your short films, and channel content up to Amazon Prime.
See,
Excuse
Prime
me,
Prime
Amazon
is
Prime Video.
getting into the game now. Prime is doing a fashion thing, like Stitch Fix, one of those other box fashion programs.
Mhm.
Prime Fashion, I just learned about last night. So now
Mhm.
Prime is getting into the game because they want more customers.
Makes sense. Everybody wants more customers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, everyone wants more customers at that.
All right. That's awesome. I mean, it's always great to chat with another podcaster because you get to learn about things that I did not know. I mean, you've been in the podcasting business for 4+ years, right? And I just recently started getting into it. But are you also being an author? That's another source of information, right? There's another source of experience that I don't have that you've had for for the time that you've been publishing content. So that's really cool to learn.
Well, thank you.
And
Thank you. It's
you're welcome.
something I enjoy, and as soon as I get out of journalism school, I'll be publishing
Mhm.
more books and
Mhm.
publishing and continue to publish my podcast as well.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, he's got a podcast going as well. His name is David Calvert of Car Thoughts with Dave, and he's got a good following going on. But he recently finished his first science fiction novel that he's been working on it for the past 6 months, and he's super excited. He finally handed it over to an editor, and so I'm going to share with him about Kindle Direct Publishing.
Oh, he knows about it. He knows about it.
Oh, he knows about
He
it.
had
Okay,
the book
there you go.
over me, and now I'm a bigger fan of science fiction because of his book.
Nice.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
no.
yeah.
He's talked about Kindle Direct Publishing on his podcast, and he's talked about you. I've been on his podcast twice,
Oh, wow.
believe it or not.
Nice.
And I did a podcast takeover where I interviewed him. And as soon as he finishes the book, I'm going to do another podcast
Yeah.
takeover on his podcast. And then he's going to come on my podcast again, talk about his book.
Nice. That is awesome. That is awesome. I love it. All right. So in the interview question, I had asked, what was the one hobby that you would love to get in? And you had mentioned tennis. So tell me a little bit about your.
I used to play tennis, and that is something I want to get back into. But me being a journalist, I don't see how. I literally don't see how because I'm so busy right now, and I'm getting podcast after podcast, not only on my own podcast, but on other people's podcasts, that tennis is a pastime that I would like to get back into, but I don't see how.
Got it. Got it. It's really interesting, right? Everything requires time. right? Time is one thing that's always constant. It's always fleeting. It's something that's not coming back. So we've got to use the best of it, right? Use our time the most constructively that we can.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we've got to use our time most constructively. Most constructively.
All right. So what's next? What else would you like to chat about?
What's next? How about where people can find me and where people can listen to the podcast? People can
Absolutely.
find me on LinkedIn under author Win D as a cookie. Win WIN, and yes, that's my legal name. And then author as an author in a book. And then people can also follow me on Twitter under Win Kelly, Kely, Charles, CHARLES, and I'm repurposing my content. They can also type in my name on YouTube and find my YouTube channel, which is a brand new thing. And so they can find me pretty much everywhere. They can find me as Win Podcast pretty much everywhere, and my podcast, which I do via Anchor, Welcome Journalism. They can find that everywhere too.
Perfect. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Win, for the time and getting on the podcast. I will be including all of those links to the show notes so people can get in touch with you, listen to your podcast, and check out your book on Amazon.
And if they just type in my name on Amazon, it should pop up. WIN. I win.
I win. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much again for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Hacks and Hobbies. You can find additional information on the guest today on their website, hacksandhobbies.com. Please feel free to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on upcoming interviews with amazing guests.